Steven Gerrard was the big name linked, but there's also other names as well. Also, we heard of Ancelotti, getting David Ancelotti in there. Another one was Russell Martin.
Yep.
Listen, fair to say that some Rangers fans are a wee bit underwhelmed with that prospect of Russell Martin. Is it a risky? Would that be a risky appointment? To be honest with you, I think that would be a really interesting appointment. I mean, I think Rangers need a manager who is going to be a wee bit different in terms of their approach. I mean, you look at it, and listen, the comparison with Celtic across the city, something that Ange Postecoglou, a bit of an idealist, but he plays a certain way, ultra attacking. I think he came a cuppa for that at Southampton. Didn't have the players to really play that way in that league. But I think Rangers could do with somebody thinking a bit differently and a bit more of a kind of swashbuckling approach, because we've seen plenty of Rangers managers over the years who have got bogged down trying to beat teams and not compete with Celtic. One game they can usually compete with Celtic, but these games against most teams in Scotland, it's really hard to break teams down, getting caught with that kind of horseshoe kind of passing the ball about side to side, not having that kind of direct or pace and incisiveness. Been good in the break, which is what's worse in Europe, doesn't work in Scotland. So I think something like Russell Martin would be really interesting. I think he's got a kind of ethos. You look back to his MK Don days in his early days at Southampton, I think he would be an interesting appointment. Mm-hmm. Young guy, I think about step into a difficult job. Mm-hmm. But I don't know, what do you think? You don't think it's an interesting one?
And the format of this show that we do is all about fierce debate, but it's one perfect harmony here.
You agree with me here?
100%, because...
But most fans won't think this. Most fans will be thinking this is a no-go.
You nailed the bit. I think the biggest point is Rangers, what's the thing they haven't been doing in these league titles? It's that ability to squeeze the smaller teams, really go for the jugular, and he's probably the closest fit to that, the Ange Ball style. And I've got to be honest, I was blown away with him in Monday Night Football. I thought he was excellent. There's a real accountability at Southampton, why it didn't work. That's how you do an interview. You know, the way where when managers lose a job, there's still that 0.5% where, well, it's not quite all my fault, but he owned it in a way that was really authentic, comes across as a really cool guy. It's weird. I think he's held against with the fact that he played for Rangers during, like, it was a proper low. He didn't go well in the pitch. I think he'd be quite self-aware of that as well. But he plays a style, I think he's a man that you should want, because I think he's got something that could bring a freshness to Rangers. And he appears 49ers approved. I think that matters. I think they want that style of manager.
I think it would be an interesting one, but it might be a bit of a hard sell to the punters, I think. But,
100%.
But it shouldn't be. It shouldn't be.